So I know we're in Hollow Earth, but you guys ever thought about Hollow Earth? Earth Hollow under it? What if
Oh,
there was a what if there was a whole subterranean Hollow Earth part of the Hollow Earth?
hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. What
Hear me
if
out. Now
there's a
listen.
deeper part
What
of the
have you tried, Barry? Have you tried to go deeper?
Caleb and Will, they talk it out. Nerd Holes podcast, no doubt. July is here with Kaiju might. Monsters big like dreams in the night. Pacific Rim, robots clash. In this world, titans smash. Cities fall under massive feet. In our ears, the echoes beat. Kaiju dreams in a fiery glow. Listen close, the stories grow. Godzilla roars so wild and free. Lost in tales of what could be. Monsters rise from ocean deep. Secrets that the shadows keep. Every roar and every fight, filling up the July nights. Outside the storms are brewing wild. In my mind, a monster child. Tales of giants fill the room, echoing their primal boom. Pacific Rim, robots clash. In this world, titans smash. Cities fall under massive feet. In our ears, the echoes beat. Kaiju dreams in a fiery glow. Listen close, the stories grow. Godzilla roars so wild and free. Lost in tales of what could be.
All right, welcome to another episode of The Nerd Holes. Continuing Kaiju Month, we watched Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. So last week we watched -1, and that was great. This week, this week we this was a movie that came out. We didn't get a chance to see it in theaters, and we saw the first one together.
Yeah,
I think we got pizza and watched it. We really enjoyed it because it's just a CGI monster fest,
all right.
and we just loved it, loved it. So I will say right off the bat here, this movie
Do
is
it.
super fun and entertaining,
Yes.
but after watching -1, it almost feels like a slap in the face to to what Godzilla represents. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This feels so much more like, well, I mean, obviously it's like, yeah, so this is the American stuff
Yeah.
and it's fun, but
Yeah.
man,
It's it
different, right?
is. Yeah. It like legitimately, even within their own franchise, whatever, Monsterverse. Like
Yeah.
when they first introduced Godzilla in the Bryan Cranston movie, and then Kong Skull Island with Samuel L. Jackson,
Oh yeah.
right? When they
Hmm.
introduced those two movies, it's like they're kind of semi-serious, like
Yeah.
monster movies, like pretty. I mean, there's
Hmm.
goofy stuff in them and stuff happens, but like they're
Pretty
grounded,
pretty grounded, yeah, as far as like a kaiju
right?
movie. And that's the other thing, since it's American, if they're not called kaijus, they're called titans.
Right, right. So,
So lame.
and then you get Godzilla King of the Monsters, which was pretty good
That's
actually.
a good
Really,
movie. Yeah.
and
It brings back
and
some of the classic monsters.
right. and it's a little more over the top because there's a lot more monsters in the movie. So you're like,
Mhm.
okay. And then they go to the one we you just talked about, Godzilla versus Kong,
Yeah.
and it was like kind of
Or
goofy.
a little bit more goofy. Yeah.
Yeah.
They brought
And
back
so now
Mecha
you watch,
Godzilla,
yeah.
which
And
was
then you
cool,
watch
but
this
yeah.
one, and honestly, I like sincerely, I liked this one more than Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, I did too. I did too, actually.
But it 100% just feels like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh yeah, it's so like yeah, I don't even know what the word for it is. It's just so like it's not I don't know. I don't know if I want to say goofy, but it's like it's just a fun, entertaining mesh up movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So the end, the kind of towards the end where everything is happening on screen,
Yes.
everybody's
Yes.
fighting. I was like, oh my God, this is Anchorman 2. This is the battle, Anchorman 2 battle where like Jim Carrey makes a guest
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
appearance, and it's just like, oh, this is just insane. This is
Yeah.
just insane.
Yeah.
And it's just, so, in minus one, we were talking about how, like, the weight of Godzilla, just how awful, like, the
Right.
destruction and stuff is. This movie just, I mean, they just demolish
I mean,
everything. And it's just
Brazil is
like,
not anymore, or whatever. Sao
no,
Paulo, it's
yeah,
gone.
billions of people are gone. And it's just played for laughs.
It really is.
Even that part where Godzilla's coming through, I think it's like Egypt, and he's just smashing all the bridges through that like
Yeah.
channel. And there's just
Yeah.
like tons of people on the bridges, like they're all dead. They're all dead.
Right.
And it's like we've just recently, like in our history, have just seen I forget where it was, but that remember that bridge that just got hit by that like
Oh
boat
yeah.
and collapsed?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And you see how like how no, it was late at night, so not a ton of people were on the bridge, but like people still died from that incident.
Right.
And it's like a big deal.
Right.
And this movie is just like, oh yeah, he just blows through six bridges,
Yeah.
and they make the impression that like government and senators are like calling monarch, and monarch's like, yeah, he's just gonna do what he's gonna do. I don't know, what are you gonna
Right.
do?
Right.
And they're like, okay, sounds good. It's
Yeah.
just like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So it's being a little kid with your action figures, and
Yes.
you're playing
Yes.
in your
Yes. Yes.
bedroom.
Yes.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
Even like the movement, like Godzilla's movement is so like I don't know. I say that, but also I remember, the rubber suit guy doing his like and it's like that kind of fits in with this aesthetic.
Yes. Yes.
But there's just a couple scenes where it's just like you have this giant thing, and he like jumps when he dives off the cliff.
Oh yeah, the Gibraltar thing. Yeah.
Okay, all right. It was just funny. There's just a lot of funny scenes in it.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of a basic rundown, but I don't know. I don't know if we want to go like scene for scene, or if we want to just talk about it.
I don't think it's necessary to break it down scene
I
by
don't know if
scene.
I don't know if I could, if I'm being honest with you.
I mean, honestly, the premise is, I mean, really, what the
Yeah,
premise
just
is Kong is in Hollow Earth. He's like making a living, not making a living. That sounds like he's making money, but he's living down in the Hollow Earth, and Godzilla is on the surface and basically controlling the Titans that apparently are just all
yeah,
over
just
the
active everywhere. Yeah.
yeah. So when they start to attack people, Godzilla comes, wakes up from sleeping and then kills it and then goes back to sleep. Right? That's
It's really funny because when we just watched in our cast about minus one, that's what Adri said. She likes Godzilla being menacing. And she says like every other Godzilla movie, they're like, oh, he's just misunderstood and he's a savior. And then this
yeah,
movie literally starts with him like being like, oh well, if Godzilla wasn't there, that Titan would have just destroyed everything. And like he comes in and just destroys everything, like
Everything,
fighting
yeah.
Godzilla.
And that's what's happening. That's the state of the earth. And then the girl, which I was surprised to see, I think also the mom too, from the previous movie. Um, Weird stuff happens to the whatever Iwi girl, and
Yeah.
they go to
She's
investigate.
having like dream visions.
Yeah, and they go to the Hollow Earth to investigate. And when they
Well,
do,
Kong
they,
comes out and gets his tooth
oh yes,
removed.
that's right.
That was a pretty fun scene,
That
actually.
was fun. And then, yeah, then they go in to investigate, and um, Kong finds, with the help of Mini Kong, um,
His name's like Ono or Coco or something I've seen from like
okay,
the figures.
oh, okay, he finds the subterranean realm.
Yeah, it's where he like fights and eats all those like dog wolf things,
Yes.
and that cave like crumbles and collapses underneath, and that's where like all
Okay.
this stuff takes place.
He finds it, and then down in there, there is an ancient, um, previously defeated by Godzilla ape
Yeah,
that's obsessed with coming to the surface to
he's
conquer the surface world. And Kong tries to stop him, but there's way too many apes, and he has a awesome spine crystal whip thing.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Kong only has the axe and gets defeated. We meet Shimo,
The
whatever.
original Titan that
Yep,
created the Ice Age. Yeah,
yep.
that was
It's
cool.
basically just like the thing King Slar, whatever.
Mm.
Just like the other ape, it's an opposite of Godzilla, basically, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like
That was
Kong
like
is beefy and thick, and the other ape is like thin and like long limbs. And instead of an
yeah,
axe, he has a whip. It's like it's very
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the Frost Godzilla was like on all fours, like a
right. Yes,
salamander. Yeah.
yeah.
And it was just so
So
funny when they introduced him. I was like, oh, okay. So
I
like
got
Kong
it.
and Godzilla have to fight their opposites in the
They're opposites,
subterranean
yeah.
realm. Perfect.
And that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And they make very relatively brief introduction of Mothra comes back, which was nice.
Author returns. Yeah.
And then what you exactly think, the four of them fight with Mothra sort of intermixing herself or
Yeah.
himself.
She's the queen of the
Oh
Titans.
yeah, so herself, yes. Excuse me.
Yes. I don't think moths shoot webs, but that's
This one does.
this one does, yeah. It was cool. It was cool seeing Mothra.
So that's
Yeah.
generally the movie. Um, but I don't know. It was really funny when the movie first started. I was kind of like, I was in it. I was like, all right, okay,
I was not. I
oh
was the
okay,
opposite. I kind of came around
okay,
because like I said, coming off of -1 going into this, you're just kind of like already like the beginning of this movie, it sets up like, hey, so this is what this is, and
mm.
you're either in it or you're out of it because it's like
Yeah, okay,
Godzilla comes and he fights in Rome, and
yeah,
then Kong is in like Hollow Earth swinging around eating like wolf creatures and
yeah.
just like, yeah, this is what this is.
This is it.
You're either gonna like it or you're gonna hate it.
We're four movie deep, and this is what it is now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was okay with it. You know, Godzilla fighting that like spider squid monster.
What's cool?
immediately atomic breath
right
vomits
down
on
the
him
throat.
and
Yeah,
just
yeah, you have to.
explodes everywhere, and you're like, okay. Kong
Yeah,
kills the wolf things with traps and stuff, which was kind of
it
interesting.
was cool. Yeah, it was cool. It kind of sets up his trap skills and stuff.
And I was
And
like,
then
okay,
that weird like crocodile monster like took one, and he just kind of like
oh
was just kind of like, whatever.
yes. And I
But
was
he
like, yeah, it
rips.
was
Remember when he like rips it over his head, and it
yes.
just gets covered in green
And that
blood.
that was really funny because I said it has to be green, or otherwise I don't think this movie would be rated PG-13.
Yeah, no, no. It was green or blue.
Yeah. It's like, well,
Yeah,
it's alien guts, so
yeah,
it's okay.
yeah. It's blood, but it's not like human blood. Like, oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, yeah. Give it to the children.
okay. Yeah,
And then he like showers in that waterfall. I thought was funny that scene where he's washing all
yeah,
the blood off.
yeah.
Then he goes back up there and he like rips the leg off and just
You
sprays blood everywhere. That's when you
eating it.
see that his
Yeah.
tooth hurts. He's like, oh,
It's like, oh,
my
oh,
tooth, my tooth.
yeah. Then he meets forget, yeah, he jumps down through the hole that was made.
Yeah,
He
he
kind
comes
of
out.
falls into, I think he falls into where he fought, where he got the axe in the third movie, and
Hmm.
then he continues to walk. I think that's when he originally drops. I think it's supposed to be like that area where the throne was and stuff like that. I think. Maybe not though.
Man, I don't remember. I thought that was just somewhere in Hollow Earth specifically.
Yeah.
Because they make it seem like somehow Godzilla banned all these apes down there and like locked them in.
Right.
But they were in Hollow Earth because they were like the guardians.
Yes.
The apes were like the guardians of the humans
Yeah.
and the Titans. I think they kept the Titans at bay or something, but then that one wanted to like be the ruler of the entire Earth.
Yeah.
Star something, Star Child, Star
Something
King.
like that. Yeah.
It's cool. It was cool seeing like all the old like ruins,
Yes.
like human ruins and stuff. I thought
Yeah.
that was fun. But in Italy, I liked how Godzilla sleeps in the Colosseum. I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah. Yes. That
Yeah,
was
he
funny.
curls up in there. It's pretty cool.
And I was following it and it was fine. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then Godzilla goes out to the Arctic to fight Tiamat, which was apparently a ice dragon
Yeah,
thing.
he just lives out there.
Like, okay.
Well,
And
first he
then
goes to that nuclear power plant,
oh yeah, I forgot he goes to
and he's just like,
France or whatever.
and he like
Yeah,
sucks all the like nuclear energy in,
that's right. That's right.
and humans still try to like shoot at him with like planes and stuff. And it's like he's gonna do like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
that was a dumb scene for the drones to like shoot at him. It was so I was like, that's stupid.
Yeah,
But the thing that was and that I forgot that happened because that is when I started to go like, what? He
yeah.
is steaming blue
Mhm.
with radiation, right? To the point when he gets back to the ocean, it's like boiling when he's swimming.
Yeah, that was cool.
And it was a great visual, but I was thinking because they showed they showed that kind of cool shot of his footprint and they're like using the Geiger counter on it and they're like, oh God, he's just like super irradiated. We got to get out of
Yeah,
here. And I was just thinking the amount of people
yeah.
that he's killing right now.
Oh yeah.
Gets in the water. Who knows what he's doing to the
I mean,
ecosystem?
it would destroy the entire ecosystem.
Gets down there, kills that thing, which was fun. That was
Yeah,
fun.
that was like a Chinese dragon type
Yeah, it really
dragon.
was.
It was kind of cool. They're like,
Kills
oh,
it.
he's gearing up for some kind of fight. He's pulling all this energy. And it's like,
And
okay.
then
He kind of encapsulates himself in that like nuclear area.
yeah.
Because the whole time, right? Because you've seen the trailer, they can't help but show you that he has a new color.
Oh yes, yes.
So the whole time you're like, okay, so how does he
Yeah.
how does he turn red? Like
Right.
when does this happen?
Yeah, it was interesting. And I I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
But
just
even
really funny because like all the people stuff is like fine, and also like you get to a point, especially towards like the middle end, like the third act, and
Mhm.
it's like they're almost like what's the point of these people? Because there's huge sections towards the end where it's literally you're just watching CGI things, like not even talk to each other, right? They're just
Yeah.
growling or roaring or slapping their chests and stuff, and you're
Mhm.
like, oh, okay. And you're supposed to
The,
be like, I understand what's happening. Like,
the
okay.
the whole people thing is so that they can cut back to the humans being like, oh, this is crazy. Oh, this is nuts. And you're like,
Right.
yeah, and like you as the audience, like, I relate to these people. This is crazy. That's
Oh,
it.
yes.
Oh yeah. I like the doctor, the veterinarian guy. I thought he was a fun character. I
He was a fun
I
character.
love that Scottish like monarch military guy gets killed immediately. You
By a
saw that
tree.
coming from a mile away, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
I
to
like that
think,
he
okay.
I like that he calls him like a knockoff Ace Ventura. I thought that was I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty funny.
Okay. So that was my point, was that it's so funny to me, and this is what made me sad. It really made me sad. When, if this movie was in the 90s, right? And you cut back like 30 years, it's like, what would he have called him? And it's like, he probably would have called him like Tonto or something, right? Like a knockoff Tonto or something, or Dr.
Magnum
Doolittle or
Magnum
something.
PI or somebody. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, maybe Magnum PI. You know, um, maybe if it was like in the early 2000s, maybe call him Crocodile Dundee or something. But it just
Yeah, because he's
was
Australian.
right. But the thing that I was just like, man, because he's making fun of him and it's supposed to be a like you're a loser, like you're a has-been kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's like, well, let's make a 30-year-old reference to Ace Ventura. I was just like,
Mhm.
man, that's like the point of that joke, is like for a modern audience, like that
Mm.
is an
Like Jim
old
Carrey's
thing.
not like super relevant anymore.
Well, it's just the fact that that character is old,
Yeah, super old. Yeah.
and it's just funny because I was just like, yeah, I guess so. I guess that's like guess that's an
That
old thing to do now.
that's funny. I didn't super take it that way. I thought just because like he was basically wearing the same shirt,
Oh yeah,
but I thought that
I
was pretty
agree.
funny. But
But did
yeah,
you
that's
did you pick up on who the Scottish guy was?
I recognized him.
He is basically the Scottish
Oh, he
guy.
was the guy from Andor.
Andor, yeah.
Right. He was the same character, just he
Yeah,
worked for
right.
Monarch.
Yep. Yeah.
But there's a funeral. You have to come to the funeral. Andor will show at the funeral. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
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 That's funny. Yeah, that is exactly who that guy is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
Pretty good.
disappointed and liked the arm thing, the arm
Hmm.
brace in the background there that Kong gets.
I was interested to see how he got it because
Correct.
to sell merchandise for 4 weeks before the movie came out, that's all you saw was
Right.
Godzilla's pink and Kong has an infinity gauntlet.
Right.
And you're like, okay, so you're gonna have to make it make sense.
Right.
And it was like Oh, so we at Monarch thought it would have been a good idea to make like one of the strongest Titans like even stronger.
Right.
But then the government like scrapped our project, so we never really finished it. But we also finished it, and it's here in Hollow Earth. This is where we keep it.
Right. That's
Okay.
exactly how I felt.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That makes sense.
So I was like, okay, it makes sense that like they made Mecha Godzilla, so of course they may make, Mecha Kong or something, or give Kong like
Yeah.
things to fight is, but but then immediately it was just like, oh yeah, it's an unfinished project, but we totally have a completely finished gauntlet. And also it happens to be here on Hollow Earth, so I can immediately get it because I have all of the tools and all
Yeah.
of the machinery needed
We
to get
keep
it.
it in the armory, right here, kind of where Kong lives, you know.
Yeah. And I was just like,
Um,
okay.
so I think it's no mystery that this movie totally pulls from pop culture stuff because the directors even came out and said that like so Godzilla's new like pink form is clearly like a reference to like Goku Rose from Dragon Ball Super, which is
Yeah.
cool. Um, but that gauntlet, dude, it's so clearly like Stark technology.
Oh yeah.
Like dropping it off and having it like fly in on like things and it
Yeah.
like clamps in. I mean, it's so clearly like
I was so
something
waiting for
Tony
them.
Stark would make, yeah.
I was waiting for them to make like a Marvel comic and they didn't. And I was like,
No,
man, okay.
no, they can't.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
I've already seen, I've seen tons of like renditions online of like Kong, like with the actual like people have drawn like the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh.
It's basically like a power fist from Fallout, it's just like
Yeah.
it's cool. So he basically gets that because he gets really bad frostbite on his
Frostbite, yeah.
yeah,
Which I figured that's why he had it on his hand was it was a damage thing.
yeah,
I specifically thought it when they replaced the tooth. When they replaced the tooth, I was like, this they're going to fix his arm with
yeah,
that thing.
yeah, yeah. It's cool like, if you really look at uh like in this actual like armband,
Yeah.
it has like the Monarch logo on it, which I thought
Yes,
was
yes,
cool.
yes. It also
I
has
thought that was
like serial numbers and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah. There's like one specific shot where you see and you can see like the Infinity Monarch logo, and I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
The one of the kind of plot hole things that I didn't really get is when they first get to Hollow Earth and they go to base one
Okay.
and it's all destroyed and they're like, oh, what could have done this? But we've seen as the audience, we've seen like the ape foot
Yeah.
and like the eye looking at the camera before they see it.
Right.
That base was not really that destroyed. And then they
No.
look up on that cliff wall and they see the handprint.
Right.
And you're like, oh God. But that implies that the red ape like came out of the cave-in area, explored that little part of like Hollow Earth, destroyed the base, left his handprint, didn't see any way to like leave Hollow
Yeah.
Earth, and then went back down.
I I thought the same thing, but I think it was his little like ape men that did go out to Hollow Earth. I don't think it was him. I think it was supposed to be the little guys who like go out and do things for him.
His like his basically his guards,
Yeah.
the red striped guards, yeah.
The baldy kind of like guy, basically.
Yeah, I just thought that was like the whole point was like almost kind of like they didn't know that sinkhole had been opened and that they would have if they did know wouldn't they have been out there already like they don't want to live like subterranean, they wanted to be up
Right.
there,
Right.
so they would have thought that they would
I
all
mean, I mean, I
gone up
totally
there.
agree. Yeah. It's
But
yeah.
also like being down there isn't really that like bad It's just that they choose to live in like the worst part of it.
Right.
Like they choose to live in like this awful like lava pit when you have,
Yeah.
you have the scene where, Kong is out in that like beautiful lake
Yeah.
and it's like, why don't you just live out here? They're like,
Yeah.
no, we hate it down here because it's all like lava and dark. It's like, yeah, where your throne is, but okay.
I also was slightly confused towards the end of the movie. At first, when you see the apes like working for the guy, you're like,
I don't know
okay,
what they're doing.
I don't know what they're doing, but like whatever. It's a very common thing to have
Uh-huh.
a maniacal leader telling terrible, people under him to like work. You're like, okay. And then as the movie went on and they were like wrapping it up and like Kong comes back, you're like, what what are they building? Like what were they doing?
Nothing. They're just being oppressed.
Just
So
being
you have to
oppressed.
move
To
rocks
move
for all
that
of your
rock from
days.
there all the way over to there twice.
I, I thought it was interesting that like so Kong got down there, immediately runs into a couple apes, fights them,
Yeah.
and is basically like, all right, so take me to where all the apes live.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, okay, like that's not gonna that's gonna be an issue, right? Like just barging in there.
Right.
But I thought that was funny. So the little ape, the Coco or whatever his name is,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
leads him to that lake, and he's like, "Oh, it's super safe, yeah." Ooh.
You're
Like
right.
totally drawing him in because he knows there's like this snake Leviathan or whatever that lives in the
Yeah.
thing, and it was like, yeah, that's not gonna that's not gonna stop Kong.
No.
That was pretty good. But then he kind of warms up to him, right? Because he gives him some food.
It gives them parts of the Leviathan
Yeah.
thing.
Basically, they're showing like, okay, so Kong like treats people way differently than this, a ruler down there
Right.
does.
Well, that was like another, I mean, that was a very obviously planned thing. Like when he kicks the one ape off, he like falls and he grabs him
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah,
he
that's
like
right.
pulls him back up, like, okay, man, like I get you're mad, but like, we're brothers kind of a thing. Like
Yeah.
we're and then he's like, no, I'm gonna stab you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Like,
stab you. And then he's like, all right, now okay.
this is hollow earth, and he kicks him off. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
He was the
this,
Family Guy Spider-Man rule, right? Everybody gets one, and then
yeah,
that's it.
everybody gets one. I loved that they don't they he in this first fight he picks up the little monkey and and he's just beating he's just beating people
He
with this
does.
monkey.
Like,
I was
ah,
like now this
this
I
I
get
can get
behind.
behind this. Yeah.
That little monkey he gets thrown around quite a bit in this movie. I mean, he gets picked up, he gets slammed, he gets thrown around, he gets used as a weapon. It's
And I
pretty great.
thought the
It's
whole
pretty great.
time he was Scourge King's son,
Yeah, probably is,
and he
but
probably is because they
you
show
could,
that really kind of sad scene where he's up
yeah,
on the throne and you see all the like females like holding
yeah,
apes, and you're
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
that's probably not a good thing.
yeah,
Um, and I thought like when he leads into the lake, like you said, and the Leviathan thing happens, and he's like, oh, delicious water. Like when that happens and he runs away, I thought, yeah, he's trying to like kill Kong so that for his dad, and then
mm,
when the whole thing happens in the pit, and then like, nah, he doesn't side with the other eight, with the King Clark King, and I was like, okay, and then the whole rest of the movie, he's just like fighting against him, and I was like, what? What is
yeah.
like? I don't get it. I just didn't
Well,
understand it.
I don't know who that other ape's relation was to him. Remember he kind of like talks to him like as they're walking in,
Oh yeah,
and then Scar like kicks him in the lava, like.
yes.
So I don't know like who that guy was, but he seemed really affected by it.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. He did freak out pretty good.
Yeah, so I think that kind of set him also too on the path of like, yeah,
It was
this
just funny
guy's
to me
rule is
that
over.
it was just funny to me that they would show scenes like this, and then you as the audience are trying to be like,
Hmm.
okay, so
Yeah.
that guy's bad, and that guy, okay, and Kong, right? And then they cut back to the lady scientist, and she's like, Kong is lonely, and he is the last. And it's all this context, and I'm like, how do you know that? Because
Yeah.
Kong only talks to the little girl.
Oh, he's lonely.
Oh, yeah. Oh man,
Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
saying all this stuff, and I was like, I don't know. How do you know all that?
I was trying to just enjoy a monster movie, but it turns out I basically have to be Diane Fossey to understand what's going on in this movie. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
She easily goes up to the things up on the wall, and she's like, "This
Oh
is
yeah, just
Shivo, the
she can just
monster."
read. She can just read an
Yeah.
ancient dead language. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
And like,
I mean, it was
oh
the picture. The hieroglyphs were pretty obvious
yeah,
that it was like this
some of it.
thing is
Yeah.
attacking these things.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that one, she's like, "Oh, this thing caused the Ice Age." It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Okay.
okay, all right, all
Yeah.
right.
And I was fine. And I stuck through the whole movie. I stuck through it. And I was like, okay, I'm fine with this. And then they're like, they're going to bring Godzilla down here. And I was like, okay. Then I saw the meme that I didn't know anything about where he's at the
Which,
and he's like, whoa, no, 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 no. And Godzilla's like
uh,
pointing at him.
I thought that was fun. I thought this scene was fun because it's like Kong's
Yeah.
going out to get Godzilla because he needs help, but he
Right.
can't like express that to him.
Right. Because
And
Godzilla doesn't care.
so Godzilla sees him back on land, and it basically was like after their last interaction was like, "Hey, so we worked together this one time, but if I ever see your face around here ever again."
You're
So
dead.
they're fighting. They're having like this major fight, and again, it's uh
Egypt.
but it's Iron Man
Oh,
in the
oh.
big suit punching the Incredible Hulk to get him to like stop being
Yes,
angry.
yes, yes,
You know,
yes, yes, yes.
very
Yes.
much. This scene is very
Very,
much
very
like
much so. Yeah.
go to sleep, 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 go to sleep. I mean, that's what this is. And
Yeah.
I think this is the first time that I like outwardly laughed out loud was when Kong's fighting and Godzilla runs over and he's like, pocket sand, and he throws sand in his face. And then there's that part too where Godzilla like charges up and like turns
Yeah.
around to faces Kong and he's like, blah, and you just see Kong like in the distance, like, and he's like running
Yes.
behind the pyramid.
It's just running. Oh, and then like the pyramid's like exploding, and he's just like,
he's like,
oh God.
and it's like the scene where he's just like,
Yeah.
but his little like like around the pyramid, I lost it. I lost it. Funny.
Yeah.
And then the other part I laughed at too was like he finally kind of like knocks Godzilla down and he grabs his tail and he's like, you're coming down one way or the other, you know.
Right, 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 right.
Oh man, that was good.
And then Godzilla's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
And then Mothra's like, Mothra. And Godzilla's like, what?
Be calm, my Titan child. And he's like, "Mm." And the little girl comes out and he's like, all right, let's effing do
Dude,
this.
and I was fine. It was still a lot, but I was hanging in there. And they go down to Hollow Earth, and they had the two crystals meet, and now they're fighting in the air, and all
Yeah.
that was crazy, and it was fine. And I was like, okay, yep, this is I'm here. I'm here.
I'm here for it.
I'm here
Can't go
for it.
anywhere.
I'm here for New Empire. I'm here. I'm here for the New Empire. And
Hey,
I
what
get
is the new empire?
I think
It's
it's
nothing.
I think it's the Sklar King Car guys area.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they are making their way towards the portal. And I was like, what's happening here? The whole point was to not let this happen. Don't let those
Hmm.
things go to the surface.
Oh yeah. Well, you gotta go to the surface.
Right. So Mothra's trying to like Mothra's protecting the portals, and it's like the two main bad guys are going towards the portal. And I'm like, okay, Mothra's gonna, stop that. And it's like,
I think their whole gravitational mechanism that they're like this will help. I don't think it helped.
no,
I think if anything that just helped them get through the portal
yes.
because now they're in air and they can just kind of jump towards it.
And whatever. And then they come through the portal, and now they're in Rio de Janeiro.
Rio, yeah.
And I was like, uh-huh. I thought, well, it's gonna be like Pacific Rim, they'll just stay out in the ocean because right there the ocean freezes and he comes out. Nope. And
No.
I can't tell you every single time they threw somebody into like a block of buildings, or
Oh
he
yeah.
takes the chain and rips the skyscraper in half, or Godzilla does the atomic breath and like skims across the city and stuff like that. I just thought
No,
the
they all got
absolute,
evacuated.
like, they're gone. They're dead. There's so many people dead.
They all
So
got
many people.
evacuated.
No, no, they
And the
didn't.
Jesus statue is totally fine. So
Well,
don't
yeah.
worry about
It
it. No, they
it
all
just was
evacuated.
no, no, no. They're not all evacuated. You watch them all running on the beach. They're not all evacuated. No,
They all got out
they're dead.
safe.
They're all dead. The creators of this movie hate Brazilian people. It's very
Well,
obvious.
it's just because they're jealous.
Oh, just the whole time, every time they'd cut back, it'd be like, and they'd crash into something. And I was just like, well, there's like 10,000 people dead.
I would like to see Corridor Crew do, how sometimes they'll take a movie and they'll make it like R-rated.
Oh,
I would like to see them do that with like this part where like every time somebody crashes a building, just like all this blood comes out of the building. Yeah, it's real
yeah,
bad. It's real bad.
it
And
was
it's just like,
really bad.
and
And
it's
I
just
thought
like,
they were going to fight in Hollow Earth. I was like, okay, just like that's
yeah.
what I liked about Pacific Rim was the fact that they
Hmm.
fought in the oceans. And
Away from
so,
major cities.
right, which made sense. Like you would get it away from people so that you
Hmm.
can focus on the monster battle and not be like, well, they're destroying like civilizations, and then you focus on the like humanity of it all. So
So
fighting in Hollow Earth
you
was
don't
like
think
fine.
Rio de Janeiro has those little underground kaiju bunkers?
They're gone. And the thing that disappoints me is it'll be movie 5 and it'll be like that's the world's fine but oh
Yeah.
god, Godzilla's here, like that's all it's gonna be because that's what it was
Well,
with this.
I was thinking that even in that scene I was talking about with the bridges,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, so now you have to have this like crew come out and fix 8 bridges, and
Right,
it's like you see how long they take in our area doing one bridge.
right,
So it's like every week they're like fixing stuff. Where's all this money coming from?
right, yeah,
It
right,
costs like money and materials every time you're refixing stuff. I mean, the infrastructure would just crumble.
trouble. I mean, yeah, the world, honestly, this world that they have would be like a post-apocalyptic
Yeah.
world of like multiple titans constantly attacking and then Godzilla defending the earth and destroying
Yeah.
everything, and then some sort of cataclysmic event happens, and then all of the titans, like the major titans, come together to fight it, and then they go back to their, it's like it would, like what they showed in the first Godzilla movie with its overgrown with the grass and the hazmat suits and it looks terrible. That
Hmm.
is what
That's
the
what
entire
society would
world
look like.
looked like. Yeah,
Well, again, and that's why Pacific Rim is so like such a good movie because
right,
like it's grounded. It's like
right,
it makes
right.
sense.
And I don't know.
This is played off for laughs because you see when he's
Yes,
podcasting and everything, he's like, we can't stop Godzilla, but you can get insured for him. You can get
yes,
your Godzilla insurance. Like this
yes,
is so stupid.
yeah. It's funny. I know. We kind of like didn't really like picked it apart a little bit, but it's like for some reason I enjoyed this. To me felt more like an old Japanese Godzilla movie because it was
Yeah.
like the story for the Titans was very well orchestrated. I thought
Hmm.
that made sense. All the human stuff was like clearly add-ons and just
Yeah.
stuff to have in the movie to just have it in there. But the whole like Iwi tribe was like a thing from the original movies because remember the twin girls were
Mm-hmm.
like friends with Mothra and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
it's all very much the same. And I think there's also in the old movie, I think there is like mini Kong in one of the
Oh yeah.
Kong
Well,
movies and stuff like that.
Kong and Godzilla both had like sons at one point.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
here's the two most interesting things I thought from the entire movie. Like literally these two things was one, in 3 years there'll be a sequel. It's already scheduled.
And what could the story pop like? Because that's what I
I
was
have
thinking
no
this whole
idea.
time was like, where do you go from here?
I have no
There
idea.
was actually underneath where the monkeys lived, under the lava. That's where all the Godzillas live under there. They're all under there. Like,
I think at this point it either has to be the introduction of, like you said, Godzilla's son or something from space, right? That's
mhm.
like what's left.
Well, the aliens have to come down and rebuild Mecha Godzilla.
Right, right, right. He says there is no Planet X too in the podcast, which is a reference to old Godzilla movies called Planet X,
Yeah.
and they're like monsters that come from there. So the other second thing is, did you look up any details about this movie besides the release
Mm,
date?
no. Mm-mm.
Guess how much? Guess how much money it took to make it.
Their budget.
Yeah,
So
their budget.
going off what we were saying during -1, Aquaman was 202. I would say it's gotta be 200 to 300 million.
So that's not a bad guess because, like you said,
It's a
Aquaman
lot. It's a
is
lot of CGI.
a lot of CGI, but it's only 140 plus
Oh,
million.
wow, that's not bad.
Here's the
Well, you
thing
only
that
have to
actually
you only pay
surprised me.
four actors, and then the rest of everybody you barely pay, and they do all the CGI work for
Right.
years.
Yep. Here is the thing that legitimately blew me away. And it's not because I think these movies are bad, it just legitimately blew me away. What it made in the box office.
Yeah, did pretty good, I
Four
thought.
four times its budget.
Nice.
It made like 500 and something $1 million.
Hmm. Well, this came
It's
out
crazy. Just
December? No.
like 4 months ago. Yeah.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty current, but
Yeah.
yeah, and plus like you see over here, like only in IMAX. So like IMAX, I'm sure made a ton of money, and I think that's
That's
what
true.
helped boost the total was because they do this stupid thing where like all the directors and everybody they always do this thing where like this movie was only made to see on a big screen, and it's like okay, yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer seeing the movie in the theater, but
Right.
I can also watch it on my TV, and it doesn't really
Yeah.
change
Nothing changes too much.
my viewing experience.
I was even more egregious to the movie world. I watched it on my iPad.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, it just was like it really blew my mind.
Now, does it do well in Japan?
That I didn't look up. I didn't see where most of the revenue came from. It might be overseas, but it
I know
just was
usually
like
they love stuff over there.
it just makes perfect sense why these movies keep coming out because when you
Oh,
look at what it's
they make
rated,
money.
it's like a 6, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's not that great of a movie. But like, well, they're making another one and they're making another one. And you're like, well, why? It's like, well, duh, they're making 4 times the amount of money it makes to make them.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is like so if you're a Godzilla fan, like it's a great time to be a Godzilla fan. You have like
True.
Toho remaking, -1, and then this came out, about the same time.
Yeah, just a couple months
So
apart. Yeah.
you had like two major Godzilla movies in theaters. They both did very well.
Right.
And I will go see another Kong Godzilla movie over like anything like
Yeah,
Marvel or DC is putting out or anything Disney is putting out lately.
true.
You know,
Yep,
that's just where I'm at.
it's true. Just really
Yeah.
funny. Just really, really funny. I was legitimately surprised that, this movie made like a lot of money.
It made 10 million in Japan.
Wow. Only 10 million.
10 million in Japan, 9 million in Indonesia, 7 million in Taiwan, 6
Wow.
million in Malaysia.
Wow.
Do.
I mean, it's a
Huh.
lot for those areas, but still.
The UK, they loved it. It was 18 million it made in the UK.
Wow.
Yeah, it made a ton of money. It made 142,000 in Iceland, so everybody in Iceland saw it. Yeah.
Twice.
33 million in Mexico, 8 million in Brazil. I bet they're real happy after they saw it.
Yeah.
They asked for their
Everybody in
money back.
Brazil was like, go see the movie. They absolutely kill everything.
132 million in China.
Oh,
So China loved it.
China loves it.
In Japan, not so much. Not as much as China. Interesting.
Which makes sense because like Japan would be like, we
Yeah,
just
like
made a
what?
Godzilla movie.
And they're like, this is not our Godzilla. I remember last time, I think it was the first Kong Godzilla movie that came out. Japan was like making fun of Godzilla's design, saying he had like thick thighs and stuff.
I'm sure. I mean, they get to make as many comments as they want. They originated the thing,
That's right.
so
That's true. But you don't make fun of Kong. That's ours.
that's ours. That's right. Yeah.
Mm,
So, the one thing that everybody's waiting for is what are we looking forward to in the sequel?
um, Jeez. I couldn't even fathom a guess. If I had the task to like hey, so we want you to write up a new script for the next Kong Godzilla movie, I'd be like, what do you I don't what do you want? What do you want? Can we
So
talk
I'd be
space?
I would be good with, space stuff. Put him in a rocket, send him to Mars or something, and have him fight in an astronaut suit. That would be great. Um, the introduction of a child would be good for him, right? That would be fun. Some
Yeah.
romance, that would be good. I'd like that with Godzilla.
God. You're
No,
not
that's
saying
all jokes.
anything. You're not saying
That's
anything
no,
good.
that's all jokes. Honestly, the one thing that this is serious. The one thing I am curious to see if they do, and I kind of almost would like it, is if they did a King Kong with him.
So is he officially King Kong now?
No,
After he has to
he's
be
just
after this
Kong.
movie. Yeah, but after
You
this
would
movie,
think
I'm saying.
so. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm waiting for is for him to become King Kong because he's not. He's just Kong.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, interesting. Mm, I do like the end scene there where he kind of comes back to the other apes and
Hmm.
he's got his axe and he's riding the frost dragon.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And he just like has that power fist like for the rest of his life
Yeah. All set.
until like the next movie comes out and they're like, well, we need new merchandise, so
Now he has a
yeah.
helmet.
I
And
like
Godzilla has a utility belt.
it's just like full of like radiation
Yeah. Tablets or
cartridges.
whatever. Yeah.
I like here's a scene I like. I like in the very when Kong meets Scar for the first time, and he
Yeah.
like reaches in his mouth and he looks at his like metal tooth, and then like
Oh
they all
yes.
laugh at him.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, like yeah, I guess that's funny that he has like
Metal in
friends
his
and
mouth.
stuff that like people
Yeah.
care about, but also like it's a little bit more dangerous, like a full metal tooth, you know.
Right.
But then when they're fighting in, Rio, he like just blasts him in the face, blam, and his giant tooth comes flying out and
Yeah.
crushes 8 people,
Yeah. In the evacuated city, right? In the
in the evacuated city. Everyone's gone.
Yeah, okay.
And Kong like laughs at him, and I
Yes, he
thought that
does.
was fun. I thought
Yeah,
that
that
was
was a good.
a fun callback, yeah.
It was a fun callback.
And I was like, hey, that's a cool diorama idea, like just this destroyed city, and it's just this big giant like monkey canine in the middle of the street.
Yeah. Were you,
Yeah.
so with -1 in mind, were you
Yeah.
as disappointed as I was that Pink Violet Atomic Breath just was more fiery looking and wasn't actually like really that different?
Yeah, they don't do anything different with any of the stuff. It's just,
Because like watching -1 and having that go like when it just like literally is like a nuclear explosion and it's like devastating,
yeah,
and then it's like, well, he has the power of the sun now, and then he does his thing and it's like, it's intense, it's more intense, but it's
it's just a little hotter, yeah.
just hot. Yeah.
Well, this is exactly what we were talking about when we were describing that atomic breath scene in -1, was that every other Godzilla movie, it's just a laser beam.
Right.
He fights that dragon underwater,
Yeah.
and he just goes like, "Meh," and you see the light above the water,
Yeah.
and it just like cuts them into like 1,000 pieces.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
that's not what it is.
Sure.
Yeah. So obviously, -1 is great, and it's
Yep.
very, very grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like Titans. I don't like calling things Titans.
Yeah.
It's
Well, that's the funny thing is too, is like they call them Titans, but then like the name of the movie is the other movie is called King Godzilla King of the Monsters. So I'm like,
yeah.
are they
And wouldn't it be
monsters? Are they
King of the
Titans?
Titans?
Are they
They don't know.
kaijus? No, it's like,
Now they make it up. Every movie's different.
yeah,
Every movie's different. Every time I hear Titans,
yes,
I think of Hercules
Hercules.
when he releases the Titans.
This way.
They're like Zeus. And he's like, "Hey guys, Mount Olympus is that way."
Oh.
Zeus. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh man, good stuff.
Gaia and Kronos.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Hit all those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Were you like me when he's fighting the red like chimp guy?
Okay.
Did you because I thought I saw him like in the trailer and the poster, but like after he fights him for a little bit and they open up that like door down there
Oh,
and you see those two eyes, I was like, okay, so this is clearly like this is like the leader of the apes down here.
Oh,
And it was like, oh no, this is just his lizard guy.
his lizard friend that he controls with crystals. Yeah.
Yeah,
When they showed the eyes, I thought it was Godzilla.
it did look like it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well,
Why
why
is he
does
here
he?
already? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was also like, why? How does this guy control him? Or like, or like, why? I don't know. I just was super confused. And then when that thing came out, I was like, oh, opposite Godzilla. And then it did the
Yeah.
ice breath, and I was like, yes, 100% opposite Godzilla.
I like that they showed that first and then they had her explain it.
Yeah. It
Instead of
was
like
cool. I mean,
explaining it.
the cool juxtaposition of the two, which was like Godzilla goes in the water and the water's boiling, and then when that Shimu thing was walking, it was like freezing the ground and
Mhm.
stuff. So it was a cool,
It was cool. Yeah, I like
but
that. It's funny that like he's supposed to be this big bad like ape ruler guy,
yeah,
but like all he does is just control a Godzilla type monster.
right.
He's got like nothing else. It's like
No.
he can use it as a whip, and then if he gets like in a pinch, he's just like, attack him, attack him.
Yeah, yeah.
Like how
So
they all
yeah, pretty
become
much.
friends. They all become friends at the end.
If you like Saturday morning cartoons slash 40-page comic book issues, you'll like this movie.
This is a movie for you. If you like Kong and Godzilla
Yep.
doing stuff, you'll love it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's it's what you expected going into it, right? I mean, you
It
remember,
was slightly more than I thought, to be honest.
yeah.
I really didn't expect like, even when you texted me, honestly, like seriously, you texted me and was like, maybe don't have Adri watch this because it's full of monkeys.
Yeah.
When you sent it to me, I was like, oh, there's more than one. Because I knew there was the little guy and the bad guy, but I didn't realize there was
Yeah.
like a city of them. So that honestly was like, that already went over my expectations of them finding, like,
The Lost
yeah, like a lost
City.
civilization of Kongs, essentially. I was like, well, that's cool. Because that's all I expected. And also Godzilla opposite Shimu, like that was a big thing. And
Yeah,
also
I didn't know anything about that. That was cool.
and then also Mothra making a return. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like that made me enjoy it more because I honestly thought it was going to be a dumb Kong versus anti Kong, and then somehow Godzilla was in the movie. That's what I thought it was.
I
And
knew they teamed up because you've seen that like meme
where
of
they're
them both
running,
running.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought it was just going to be Kong and Godzilla against this
Yeah.
other ape, you know. Yeah. And
It's
I'm sure in
interesting.
the trailers they showed other apes in the background. I didn't pay that much attention because I was like, which was
Yeah, I
sad.
don't
I
remember.
I regret not going into theaters to see this in March because I would have liked it.
Yeah, it would have been fun.
But I didn't go because I was just like, I don't care about this.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna try to go and it never worked out.
Yeah,
But should have seen an IMAX, would have had a whole
it's
different
true.
experience.
Whole different experience in
You
3D.
you can actually feel the frost.
Ooh, yeah.
That would be super fun, right? If it was like a interactive like movie and like
Ooh.
when Shimu would come out and like you would like the AC would blow under your seat.
Yeah.
You'd be like, ooh.
Ooh.
And then when Godzilla charges up, you like your seat heats up. Be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. And then every time
Mhm.
Kong or somebody hits, like your seat rumbles or whatever. Right? Yeah.
Every time he like
Yeah.
roars, you can just smell bananas.
And rotting fish.
Well, yeah, no, think about that. So think about that scene. So that
I
guy
do.
he uses
I
when he was getting the tooth out,
Yes.
he was like, "Oh
Uh,
man, what did you eat for breakfast?" But like, dude, you would be
you
dead.
would,
You would
yeah, you
pass out. You would pass out.
it's one of
I mean,
those things.
think about us as humans. If there's like a dead mouse or a squirrel in the wall, it
Right.
is the worst. It is the worst thing imaginable.
Terrible. Terrible.
So that times like 1,000, you would
Also,
just pass out. You would just pass
like
out.
the heat of Kong and like him breathing would be like really hot, right? He's huge. I mean, he's huge. He's like a giant furnace. No, don't
Yeah.
say it. Don't. I'm not saying he's really hot. Don't say.
No, I know. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Super hot.
Super hot.
It's so hot. Did you see that his new gauntlet? That was nice. Um, yeah. So you kind of but I mean, you know what you're getting into. I remember when
Yeah,
like Kong versus Godzilla came out, and like all the reviews were like, "This is just nothing but a CGI mess," and the story is so like abysmal. It's like, dude, it's giant. It's a giant lizard fighting a giant monkey.
right,
What possible storyline could you
right,
possibly imagine it having?
right. Yeah. How much more context and story world building do you need, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, come on, come on. I
Yeah.
know you take yourself super seriously as a critic, but just sit this one out. You know,
I agree. I
those are always
agree.
my favorite. Those are always my favorite critic reviews that you read sometimes. And it was like, I remember the one for like Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
The guy wrote in like our paper, he's like, I'm not like a superhero fan, or like I don't even like Spider-Man.
Right.
That being
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
I really don't like this movie. I was just like, okay, but you had to see it for the paper, right? That
Yeah.
nobody
Right.
reads. So great, good for
Right.
you. You're so
Yeah.
cool. You're so educated and so like
Yeah.
great at like you should be a director. Why aren't you directing? Why are you writing for the paper if you're such a you know how movies should be? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's weird. Isn't that weird? That's weird. Isn't that weird? That's so weird. Great.
Well, we're not sponsored by Max, but go on to Max and watch Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire.
Yeah, that's where I watched. Well, I watched it on Hulu with HBO add-on.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah. Woo. That I pay for all year
Year long.
and watch it once.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
pay for it
Watch
all
it
the time.
before Warner Brothers takes it down because that's what they like to do.
Yeah.
They literally, I was talking about the other day with somebody, and they literally were like, "We're just taking Batman movies off of Max." And you're just like, "Okay, you
We're
know
gonna
Warner
start
Brothers
our
owns
own
Batman." Like,
we're
uh,
starting our own streaming service. It's called Bros Streaming Service. We have like all the Michael Keaton Batmans on there,
yeah,
Looney Tunes,
yeah,
and
Looney.
that's it. That's it.
That's
That's
it.
it. It's $40 a month. God.
Okay.
Yeah, they're awful.
Yeah.
It was really funny in when we were talking about -1. Every time you were referring to Legendary's
Hmm.
Godzilla movie with Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
But it was just so funny because like I was listening to it when I was just editing it, and you're
Yeah.
like, yeah. And like we saw in that legendary Godzilla movie,
Yeah.
just like I was like, oh yes. Made by Legendary, yes, okay.
Yeah. The company. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You kept saying like this legendary Godzilla, like it was this fable from long
Like it
ago, you
was
know?
the best of the best Godzillas. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, that's how we differentiate between Toho
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
and America and Japan.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and the other one, what do we call the other one? Like the 2000 Godzilla movie?
Yeah, you just call it the Matthew Broderick Godzilla, that's all.
Yeah.
Or affectionately known as Doritos Godzilla.
Ooh. The Godzilla where I had merchandise from Taco Bell. That's the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Also the Godzilla who promoted 3D Doritos.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, you remember those old Alien Bugle commercials?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Pretty good, right?
Yep.
I don't know why my brain just went there.
Because your brain saw three-dimensional corn chips and it was like bugles.
You said 3D creature and Doritos, and my brain turned it into like a Dorito that went like this. And I was like, ooh, bugle.
Oh.
I haven't had a good bugle in a long time. I used to wear them on my fingers. I
Ugh.
think everybody did.
Oh yeah.
I think that guy in the commercial that I'm talking about does.
I'm sure he does.
Great. Well, that's been our review on Bugles and
Sponsored. Let's
movies that
go.
have sponsored weird things.
So anybody can sponsor us. We'll take Bugles, we'll take Doritos, we'll take Warner Brothers. It's fine.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, anything. You know what I was wondering too, and then we'll wrap this up. But I was wondering, like, because we were gonna watch the Monarch show,
Oh yeah.
and I was just wondering, like, how does that tie into like this slapstick movie? Like that show seems like it's more serious.
Yeah. I I almost get that like when they make little references to like his fist being made
Uh-huh.
and some other stuff like that they kind of do like throwaway lines, especially with that other scientist lady that they keep cutting back to, but like you don't really know. I don't know who she was.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
By main character.
no, not the main character, like the other
No, I
lady
mean
that
she's
was like,
probably a main character
oh,
in like
oh,
the
yes,
Monarch
yes,
show.
yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. Like I feel like the Monarch show is gonna like flesh all that stuff out.
You know, I feel like the Monarch show is like Agents of Shield, where they're like, "Hey, so you remember that thing that happened in New York City?" And they're like, "Yeah." They're like,
I
"Yeah,
do.
us too." Anyway, um,
There's a man melting planes in Las Vegas. It may be, you know what? You know what it may actually do? It may explain why there's so many Titans on the surface world. It,
mm,
it
it
may.
might, it
It
might,
might.
it might. I doubt it. I have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll wrap us up. Um, is this the last Kaiju cast of this month? I think maybe.
It just
I think
might be.
it might be. It might be. I don't know if I have another one in me, if I'm being honest. There's like one more that I do want to watch, but we'll see. It might be a surprise. If you see it, you'll be surprised. If not, we'll
I'll
never
be
talk about it.
surprised.
I'll be surprised. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, if this is the last time you're seeing this, this was Kaiju month. We watched a couple cool Kaiju movies. It was super fun.
Super fun.
Super fun. So, what's our
I think
takeaway?
honestly,
Pacific Rim is great, and -1, and
I
minus
think
one is great.
honestly the most if this ends up being the last Kaiju month video, um I think that this movie easily beats Pacific Rim Uprising. I enjoyed this movie way more than that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think -1 takes the number one spot.
Yeah.
And as much as I liked Pacific Rim, this is kind of like a hard middle. This is like
Mm,
I think this is number three, but it's not an easy number three to me
yeah.
of the films that we watched. So that's all I was saying.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that for sure. -1, Pacific Rim, Godzilla Kong, Uprising.
Yeah.
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 Done and done.
Done and done.
So
Finished.
watch them in the reverse order,
Yeah.
and you'll enjoy it a lot better.
You'll be like, this is
You'll be
amazing.
like, these are getting so good.
Yeah.
I really do think we should have saved like -1 for like the end. We should have watched these differently, but
It's one of those things that you
I
think you
don't
should
know.
have, but
But now we did it right.
could you imagine if we had watched this and then watched -1 and we were like, what is that movie?
If you can you imagine if we just were like typical Americans are like, this is so boring. And the dialogue, the story is so lame. Like, I just want to see like monkeys swinging baby monkeys around at stuff.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is this? What even is this?
Well, for all those commenters out there, I got my Godzilla fest in this movie. This was not Godzilla light.
No, no, this was not Godzilla light.
No.
And
All
no,
right.
buddy kissed. So
Well, not yet. Godzilla X Kong new romance.
can you imagine what would their child look like?
I would just want it to be an ape that comes out of an egg, but then can breathe fire out of its mouth.
With spikes.
Wood spikes. Yeah,
Yeah.
wood spikes. You're right.
And it comes out with it already has a power fist on.
Yes, perfect. Metal tooth and
It just irradiates.
yeah.
It has this blue glow that just goes and then, like he's like
Maybe his fur is blue. Yes.
and his spikes are rose. Yeah, that would be cool. I'll put some
Perfect.
sketches together and send it to.
No problem.
I'll send it over to
thumbnail.
Warner Brothers. I'll send it over to Warner Brothers this afternoon. Like, hey, I heard you're putting another movie together. I thought you could use some ideas.
Perfect.
And they'll be like,
Yeah.
these are great. They're great. This is better than anything we had planned.
And his name is King Sklarmo. What if he's called God Kong?
So my brain was just going. Gadong.
Kingzilla.
Oh God. Well, I think that's a good place to
That's
end
a
this.
great place to end.
Yeah, that's a real good one. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us during Kaiju month. Thanks for watching this movie. This was fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think -1 is already out. Yeah, never mind. So yeah, we'll catch you guys next time as we go down some more nerd holes. No more
Thanks
kaijus.
for
We're done with kaijus.
helping us to rise together and not fall alone.
Alone. Thanks, everybody.
Like Godzilla roars, Tokyo trembles, breaking down doors. Kong stands strong with his mighty fists. In a world of titans, it's hard to miss. Jaegers rise and Pacific Rims fight. Pilots sync up, bring hope to the night. Kaiju clash in the depths of the sea. A battle for Earth on destiny. The sky is filled with thunder. The dirt is torn asunder. Atomic blast rampage. Ships see danger, let's drift. King of Apes uncaged. Nerdholes podcast a gift. Stay out of the dead destructive path, or you'll feel that gigantic wrath. Stay out of the dead destructive path, or you'll feel the gigantic wrath. Stay out of the dead destructive path, or you'll feel the gigantic wrath. A rising stirs with new threats in line. Powerless return, it's redemption time. Godzilla -1, a legend reborn. A city savior from chaos destroyed. Kong and Godzilla, clash of the kings. Monsters unite, what fate it brings. New empire dawns, a new age begins. In the realm of giants, no one ever wins. From the depths they rise, the shadows they loom. City-o trembles, breaking down doors. But in this chaos, heroes find a way. Standing strong, keeping monsters at bay. Join us in the nerd holes, dive into the lore. Exploring kaijus, every tale and more. From the big screen battles to the stories untold. In the month of kaijus, legends unfold. The sky is filled with thunder. The dirt is torn asunder. Atomic blast rampage. Ships see danger, let's drift. King of Apes uncaged. Nerd holes podcast a gift. Stay out of the dead destructive path, or you'll feel the gigantic wrath. Stay out of the dead destructive path, or you'll feel the gigantic wrath. Stay out of the dead destructive path, or you'll feel the gigantic wrath. Up from the depths, voice stories high. Or you'll feel their gigantic wrath. Uprising stirs with new threats in line, for you'll feel their gigantic wrath. Stay out of their destructive path, or you'll feel their gigantic from the depths. Full stories